Welcome to IPOers. The next 10 minutes might just change your life. You're about to learn the secret behind one of the most successful communities of securities brokers ever created. Its predecessor community, working on the same system, already produced 63 new millionaires and multimillionaires. So settle in and focus as we introduce you to the amazing IPOers International Broker Network. IPOers International Broker Network facilitates the connection between issuers, which are companies seeking to raise capital by issuing securities distributed by an investment bank, and investors that have capital to allocate. For these services, members of the IPOers network earn commissions paid by the network manager on behalf of the investment bank that is organizing the securities distribution and obtaining permission from the relevant authorities on behalf of the issuers. IPOers is based on a successfully implemented, time-proven model that has consistently achieved outstanding financial results for the network participants as the issuers and investors they've helped. In 2021, in the United States alone, over 1,000 companies raised a total of $317 billion in capital by issuing new shares, creating a vast pool of commissions paid to facilitators. The purpose of the IPOers International Broker Network is to help you share in similar future commission pools. That is where you come in. So how does it work? The IPOers International Broker Network is comprised of a wide range of professionals working full-time or part-time to distribute securities privately to appropriate investors, such as family offices, wealth managers, investment funds, and hedge funds, investment banks, securities dealers, commercial banks, and merchant banks. How to join the IPOers International Broker Network. When you join the network, you'll need to meet certain admission criteria and learn the securities distribution rules applicable to the area in which you intend to distribute securities. In most cases, network members will need to obtain a securities distribution license. The network manager will provide guidance related to licensing and possible exemptions through the network's apprenticeship website and training seminars. Organization of the IPOers International Broker Network. A finder is an individual that introduces potential investors. They are not involved in negotiating or closing deals. A finder simply provides information or contact details to brokers in the network. The IPOers International Broker Network is organized geographically due to the differing national securities regulations. Like all business and corporate structures, the IPOers network is hierarchical and is composed of the following ranks from bottom to top. The broker. The broker represents the IPOers International Broker Network, that is an intermediary between investors, the network manager, and the companies issuing securities. In the IPOers International Broker Network, the broker is part of a team under the guidance of a city manager. The broker earns a commission paid by the investment bank each time they conclude an agreement with an investor to purchase newly issued securities from an issuer, known as a subscription agreement, and also when they facilitate an investor's purchase of existing securities from the present owner, known as a transaction. The commission rates vary depending on the security type, either equity or debt, and whether the securities are newly issued or already existing. The broker earns 4% on a subscription of newly issued shares, 3% on a transaction of existing shares, 0.5% on a subscription to newly issued debt, and 0.4% on a transaction of existing debt. Commissions of debt securities are paid annually for the entire duration of the outstanding loan. So a broker's commission on a subscription to a newly issued debt security would earn 3.5% over 7 years, as long as the issuer services the debt on time and the network manager has received their commission payments. The city manager. The city manager runs a team of at least 6 active brokers in a geographical area, likely operating in a city and surrounding areas. Each time one of the brokers in a city manager's team concludes a subscription or a transaction, the city manager receives an overhead commission on top of the commission earned by the broker. The city manager earns 2% on a subscription of newly issued shares, 1.5% on a transaction of existing shares, 0.25% on a subscription of newly issued debt, and 0.1% on a transaction of existing debt. Commissions on debt securities are paid annually for the entire duration of the outstanding loan, as long as the issuer services the debt on time and the network manager has received their commission payments. All hierarchy commissions are cumulative downwards. This means that a city manager who sells directly to an investor without involving a broker will earn the broker commission for themselves in addition to their city manager commission. For example, this would amount to a total of 6% on a subscription of new shares or 4.5% on a transaction of existing shares. The regional manager. The regional manager operates a team of at least 6 city managers operating in a region of a country like a state, province, or canton. Thus, the regional manager has at least 42 people to train and manage. Each time one of the brokers of a city manager and their team concludes a subscription or a transaction, the regional manager receives an overhead commission on top of the commissions earned by the broker and the city manager involved. The regional manager earns 1% on a subscription of newly issued shares, 0.8% on a transaction of existing shares, 0.25% on a subscription to newly issued debt, and 0.1% on a transaction of existing debt. Commissions on debt securities are paid annually for the entire duration of the outstanding loan, as long as the issuer services the debt on time and the network manager has received their commission payments. All hierarchy commissions are cumulative downwards. This means that a regional manager who sells directly to an investor without involving a broker or city manager will earn the associated broker and city manager commissions for themselves, in addition to their regional manager commission. For example, this would amount to a total of 7% on a subscription of new shares or 5.3% on a transaction of existing shares. The national manager governs a team of at least 6 regional managers operating in a country. So, the national manager has at least 258 people to train and manage. Each time a broker belonging to the team of a city manager of one of their regional managers concludes a subscription or a transaction, the national manager receives an overhead commission on top of the commissions earned by the broker, the city manager, and the regional manager involved. The national manager earns 0.5% on a subscription of newly issued shares, 0.25% on a transaction of existing shares, 0.10% on a subscription to newly issued debt, and 0.10% on a transaction of existing debt. Commissions on debt securities are paid annually for the entire duration of the outstanding loan, as long as the issuer services the debt on time and the network manager has received their commission payments. As an individual network member recruits and builds their team within the hierarchy, some of those individuals they recruit will develop their own teams and may occasionally reach or even exceed the hierarchy level of their original recruiter. In such cases, the original recruiter will stop receiving the overhead commission for the member which has moved level or higher than them. But in recognition of this loss, the original recruiter will instead receive a compensation right of 10% of all future revenue of that advancing recruit regardless of the level they attain. This compensation right is not deducted from the advancing recruit's earnings, but is paid by IPOers out of pocket on top of the standard commissions and will last until the recruiter and the recruit are both active in the network. The network manager. The network manager is a financial company which supports and manages the whole network. It earns the spread between the percentage of the distribution commission agreed with the issuers of securities and the total commissions paid to the participants in the hierarchy. The typical distribution fees agreed with issuers are 12% for newly issued shares, 10% for transactions of existing shares, 1.5% of subscriptions to newly issued debt, and 1% for transactions of existing debt. In addition to these cash fees that are the source of the commissions distributed as shown to the IPOers Brokerage Network, in the case of a private equity subscription, there are additional fees received in the form of equity of the issuer. A full third of those additional equity fees will be set aside to further remunerate all individuals within IPOers Brokerage Network and beyond that have been materially helpful in raising the required capital for each issuing company. The current deal flow of companies committed to distributing newly issued shares through the IPOers International Brokerage Network amounts to approximately $12 billion in capital to be raised. This equates to over $1.4 billion in commissions that are available for distribution to members of the IPOers Network. Please note that the IPOers International Brokerage Network is definitely not a multi-level marketing scheme. Participants are making no payments or purchases of any kind. The IPOers International Brokerage Network provides a unique opportunity for individuals to achieve financial success and independence to live their dreams. Click on the regional link below and take a step towards becoming an IPOer millionaire.